definitely want to make sure. Just avoid some scuffs, basically. Do I remember how to do this? I'm messing everything up. Pretty much no. Pretty much definitely no. But let's try. Let's try and do something cool. Get a little, let's put a little classic Zelda. Zelda and chill. Whoop. Gotta reset some stuff. Audio is a little screwy. There we go. Hopefully that's better. All right. So this is, I think this is my first stream in like, let's do 4 by 5, so it's 2,000 wide by 2,500 tall. This is my first stream in like 3, 4 months, 5 months. And it's gonna show. It's gonna show how rusty I am. It's got a little sloppy. It's okay. Good things. Only good things happening. I'm really busy. So we have hey Boxer. It goes well. So this is like a stealthy sort of like scuffy stream because I haven't streamed in like forever, and it was like part of that was like what happens is like something will happen like at the house and my wife will just dump a bunch of shit into my office and then I'll be like, it'll displace all the things. Or they'll be like, we need those lights. I'm like, okay, here's the lights for the party or whatever. And then I don't have my lights. And then I'm like, well, I lack my inspiration for my streams. And or things get busy and or like a setting gets messed up. And I'm just like, okay, I can't do that. Can't do this. Can't do that. And I even have work I need to be doing today. But I have a little bit of inspiration and yeah, exactly. It's like that's my fault for being such like a social magnet and so incredibly charismatic in person. And so what I think would be good is if I just sort of did some studies and or made brilliant art to make me world famous. How do you feel, bro? Should I do something that will make me world famous, or should I just draw like a sketch? It's a little flavor, but you know what? It's like my mind doesn't feel like it's on the flavor. It feels like it wants to be a little hardcore right now. And there's two options. There's two options for becoming world famous. Let's go. Let's get sweaty. Yeah, I feel like. Options. Have you seen that preview for the Nintendo thing, Orbitals? There we go. Yeah, it all starts with a sketch. Orbitals game. Yeah, here we go. He's got blue skin. She's got blue hair. It's the future. And what I think everybody's, even right here, calling out the retro anime style. So I feel like even though it's like a new game, it's retro styled. And so I'm like, okay, sort of have standing here. And it very much does feel like it's got that, even the, I won't play the trailer here, even though I'd love to. Just check it out or whatever, just Google it. Actually, I will play the trailer, but we're not going to watch it in full. We will scrub through it and use it as reference. They're gonna bust me if I play the whole thing, so I'll scrub through it a little. Cool, kind of like mechs. Got little jetpacks. You've got like little moments. She's cool. This is not the trailer I was watching earlier. But even like the like synth guitar and stuff seem to do it right. So I'm hoping that what I could do is do like a fun picture of her holding that heat cannon. Now, of course, we have to find the right. It might be this. 7 days ago. This is probably what I watched. Yeah.
Deep in space, a research station was suddenly struck by a cosmic storm. Later, its survivors are living peacefully. But
yeah,
the threat of another cosmic storm is coming up fast.
It's like cheesy dramatics. There we go, beam cannon. So this is the it's Nintendo doing split fiction with anime. I'm not sure what split fiction is, but there was that. What is it? Like you carve up derelicts and stuff like that with like laser guns and you like recycle them. But yeah, that's probably something like that.
Fires a stream of super hot heat to destroy obstacles, open doors,
super hot heat,
and more. Use the tools together.
So this is
and you might discover unexpected solutions to puzzles.
As usual, everyone's right-handed.
Strange life form.
Look how cute that is. Here we go. Here, I'll take some opportunistic screenshots as reference.
While exploring, you can
look how cute. It's like what's not to like here?
Exploring,
bats?
You can
yeah.
encounter strange life forms, or
and like drum
opt
sets.
for a detour and take a little.
How cool to have like
travel break.
Of course they're in a band.
With Game Share, 2 players can adventure together locally or online if one person has the game.
If I let it play all the way through, it's gonna like jam me up. Or I'm paranoid about it. I don't want to like get struck on my first day back, right? Okay, that's decent. The guy looks cool too.
These two brave. Can these two brave?
Damn, it's hard to.
Can these two
What's the key? Like, hey, Sextra. What's the key command? Oh, there we go. Finally got lucky. So I can't tell if this is like. I guess this isn't. I thought they would have. It's tricky. It's like. This is like hand in pocket kind of rendering. Yeah. Some of this stuff, maybe some of these keyframes were like painted over or something like that, but it's kind of hard to tell. They just have a pretty authentic. It's actually like an interesting sort of like VHS quality to it as well, like where the you can tell that it feels like it was like rendered out at low res, but then like upscaled in a way that feels like some of the finer details got lost, but in a way that's charming. And anyway, this classic anime face is
Orbitals
my jam.
Launches exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2 system this summer.
Yeah, you love it. Let me just look and see if I can find a couple more.
Deep in space, a research station was suddenly struck by a cosmic storm. 15
Not a lot.
years later, its survivors
So
are
much
living
appeal in these
peacefully.
designs. Yeah.
But the threat of another cosmic
obsessed with
storm is
food.
coming up fast. Maki,
There we go. Maki.
and
There we go.
Maki
Sort of adopted siblings or something like that.
and Omura, two young explorers, must now brave galactic dangers and
Galactic dangers. All right. Kind of feels like I've got. So what I actually have is very little, right? But it is a it's probably enough for me to get something started. What we can tell from, let's get that music back on. Okay, she's right-handed. That means the presentation side is going to be on the other way, as long as we're matching this. There she is blasting the heat cannon. So this is this is essentially the idea. Is she's blasting the heat cannon, and we've got like light coming from the heat cannon, like illuminating her face a little bit. It's tricky to see, like, what is... I bet that's just like a heat kind of shield in front, although I don't love that. So I'm going to give myself permission, like, to interpret this a little bit. That looks like a different gun. But yeah, we got goggles. Anyway, all the good things are here. Back to class. Yeah, do it, man. Thanks for popping in. It's like, I'm glad there are like some people here, because I'm like, okay, I don't even know if like the stream is working and stuff like that, right? So remember the last times I was streaming, like things were constantly I was having a lot of I don't know, drop frames. The whole stream would go down. Like, I need to know about this stuff. So but in the meanwhile, so you guys can't necessarily see this that well, but I'm gonna put up this here. Let's move this. This isn't a lot of time. I'm gonna give myself like maybe 30 minutes to get together a sketch. That's really not enough. Maybe I should just do studies, but the something in my brain is itching to try and get something out, and even if it's just a start to a sketch, I think it's a good idea. Now, what's interesting is what I see in my head is actually her shooting from left to right, but I don't want the gun, this big bulky gun, to screen her, like as like block our view of her. So that makes it a little tricky. Maybe I should just do the studies. That's not that big of a deal. Set a good example by not rushing into things. Huh? Because I don't normally use. Donald is being helpful. Let's see here. Sending me a message on Discord. Let's see here. Yay. Yep. Okay, yeah. That's cool. Yeah, these are the guns in question. Just peel one of these off and bring it on stream. Thank you, Donald. Twilight Farmer Boy. So this one in the middle is clearly it. So that is okay. So that's what it would look like from the side. So that's actually super helpful. Well, okay, so setting a good example is just as good as doing anything. And a little bit of a warm-up for me is not a bad idea. And we can do a different stream where I actually do the sketch that will make me world famous. So I'm going to go to 130 on this, so that's not a lot of time. But the purpose of this was just to make sure that the streams even work, that this is even viable, and that, you know, nothing got too screwed up. So, sketching anything, it's mostly sensible to start with a kind of line of action. Here we can see, like, following the sort of, she's leaning far back as she's clutching this gun and tilted forward. If she wasn't holding this gun, this posture would totally send her falling backwards, but because she's sort of counterbalanced with the and it's like, it's amazing how it really shows you how heavy the gun is. Yeah, I'm glad I'm doing some rough sketches, because her proportions are not heroic. I'm unaccustomed to drawing people at this sort of scale. This is like, most of the figures I end up drawing, even my Link is like probably really tall and muscular for like most people to identify as a Link. Let's grow a little bit, get some anime experience in there. Yeah, it's a speed stream. I'm like, this is the consolation. It's like, it is a stream. Okay, I'm streaming. You're joining me. This is the Join Max stream. You're joining me, and we're being educational. So like, if this was my assignment, someone said, Max, we need this, and I was, but it's a new IP. No one's ever seen this stuff before, and you're drawing a new character, and this is what it looks like. Then this would be the process. You know, I'd want to make sure that I honored the designers and the branding, and made sure that I did my best to draw things correctly, like on model. Right? Even this, it feels like I'm drawing the head too small, even though I'm drawing it way bigger than I normally would. Gotta balloon things out a little bit. There's that heat shield. So if we were seeing it from the other direction, that would screen too much of like her pose, and I wouldn't want that. But here, let's try and represent it accurately. My eyes are not used to having all these different like light sources. I mean, I used to be so used to this, but it's like it's making my eyes twitch right now, so it's kind of funny. Another good thing is this won't last, but it's like I was able to sort of like cut down on my drinking a lot this week. A lot of this is just like financial. The reality is it's like I don't really have money for indulging any alcoholic habits of mine, and it's tough because it's like that's just sort of like my baby bottle. It's like I feel like I'm getting upset about something, I can just reach for a drink and feel better, but it's just sort of like it's not very sustainable. Well, it's like it's fine if I'm rich and it doesn't matter, but it's like at the moment none of that is sustainable and it's inadvisable. It may make me a little bit more in the mood to draw, but it doesn't improve the drawings. And productivity is still super important for me right now. I'm less busy than I should be, but I'm by no means, I have no justification for feeling like down and out on stuff. Like I'm supposed to be working right now, and I will be working soon. But we're technically ahead of schedule. Finding the fluency of the character. I like these kind of like fun baggy sweatpants that she has. She reminds me, not very much, but like something of a Gadget from Rescue Rangers. If you've ever seen that show. Sort of like not it's a little tomboyish, but also sort of like very much has that girl next door appeal. And this looks like the kind of game where it's like the content is like kind of like cooperative puzzle solving. This could be a good game to like get and play with my kids and stuff like that. To this day, I know I've discussed it on earlier streams and stuff like that, but they've really never played video games with me or seen me play games, and I haven't become any more of a gamer than I was until recently than I was before. But my daughter has learned about like Minecraft, and they even talk about Roblox at school, even though she's never played it as far as I know. But this stuff is inevitable because they give the kids computers at school. So it's like her little boyfriend sort of showed her how to put Minecraft on her school laptop, and now they do little Minecraft dates and stuff. Or it's happened at least once or twice. It's kind of cute. Yeah, this is getting there. Color palette is pretty interesting. It's like very muted. And I kind of like that because it sort of speaks to the sort of scrappy resourcefulness of the... Oh, this is interesting. What's happened here? We need more. Almost looks like... Yeah, this just needs to be lower. Backpack just needs to be bigger, basically. Yeah. It's not like it has to be perfect in a study, but like, why learn it the inaccurate way? The mistakes are like where the learning is. If I correct my mistakes, I can learn from them, right? If it's like, at least if I'm identifying them and being like, that wasn't right. I can go back. It's like, it's just acknowledging that there's an opportunity to do better. Things don't have to be perfect, but the way that like these shapes are intersecting here, it needs to basically match what's happening there. And if it doesn't, it's like, okay, then something was out of proportion. And the proportions are probably the most important aspect of these designs. Danny, what's up? I'm not going to be streaming long, but it is a pleasure to have you. This is like, I can't recall when the last time I actually streamed was. I guess it's like in the Discord, right? Max streams. Okay, so the last time I streamed... That's today. Last time I streamed was in November, middle of November. Yeah. Not good. Not good. And then it was a month before that. Oh, shit. And then like a month before that. And then up until that point, I was like streaming every day. Yeah. I guess that's the, I'm good. It's been a minute. Like, we haven't been talking on Discord, but yeah, it's definitely been a minute since I've been streaming. And Yeah, that needs to stop because it has to need to get the momentum back. I was, cause, you know, I do look at like art vids and stuff on YouTube and stuff like that. And I'm not sure what's going on, but it just sort of feels like there isn't a lot of... I guess it feels like I watched a lot of everybody else's content, and then now I feel like people who were posting regularly just aren't. I'm not going to name names, but it was like, okay. And then like someone posts, and so I watch it, and I'm like, okay, well that wasn't very good. Or it's like... everybody's talking, but no one's like drawing, and none of it's educational. Or they'll talk about like, here's how I draw without learning. And it's like, okay. It's like, all of that is just like a bad example. Fundamentals. Do your line of action. Figure out the proportions of the massive shapes, and then start adding details. This thing is like proton packed. I can see tax has been stressing you out. Yes, but then I actually like started doing them because the anxiety of doing them was so incredibly stressful. And then I actually started doing, like, it's like I had to sober up for a little bit. Then I actually started doing them, and I was like, oh, this is not a big deal. It's only a problem because it's like, I can't remember stuff, but then I see that, like, it's all just in the records of my damn, whatever, you know, I subscribe to QuickBooks and stuff like that, which is a ripoff. But it does work in terms of, like, it just keeps a tab of all the things that I said are business expenses, and then I can just sort of, like, go through them one by one and get them a little bit more organized. And that's all I really have to do. It's just one of the other things I had to do was like actually go back and like look at all the payments that people sent me, but also tabulate that to like the amount that they owed me. As like, did those things actually match? And luckily everything matched except $100. I got shorted $100, and I emailed the person, and they're like, damn, you're right. Here, I'll send you $100. So that was it. The refund is, I hope, a good refund. The truth of it is that most of our refund actually comes from my wife. But without getting too in the weeds about it, I'm still waiting for the refund from last year. Believe it or not, it's never happened before, and believe me, I'm not doing any shenanigans. But they're just like, yeah, we're holding on your refund for like no reason. Like, they're not even specifying it. And like, and it's been this way. Like, we filed back in April last year, and like we've been signing in and stuff. And I've asked my accountant. He's like, give them time. If they ask for stuff, send it to them. You know, we'll help you with whatever you need, kind of a thing. And it's just sort of like in this limbo. But like at this point, it's like circling all the way. It's been like a whole nother year, and that money would really help, but I don't know what I can count on anymore as far as like clients or refunds or government or anything, and it's tricky. It's tricky to feel, nothing feels stable anymore, you know? Get a little shading action happening. The beam cannon. You know what is also fun? We know I love this. Just getting in there and just adding a little bit of these. Depth details, just finding those little nooks and crannies. hope everybody else's tax situation goes smoother than mine. But you know, it's why I have a CPA. It's what I pay them for. You know, they're not stressed, so I'm just trying not to be stressed. Stuff is bound to happen from time to time, but yeah, fingers crossed things go smoother this year. All that stuff like plays right into my imposter syndrome anxiety, though. You know what I mean? You know, you think like, and this is like even me, and I've been a professional artist for 20 years, and it's never gone away. The feeling that I'm like, someone's gonna find out that like I didn't go to college, and that I don't that I don't have like an accounting degree, and I'm everything I do is just sort of like learning as I go, and that I might have made a mistake or something like that. They're gonna take my house because they're gonna find out I'm an artist, and that I have no business having a house, and they're gonna take my kids, right? Declare my marriage null and void, and like revoke my citizenship or something like that, and I don't know, deport me to the moon or something like that. No business being me, no business being successful. You are canceled. It's just how it feels sometimes. You gotta double down on mistakes. That was a deliberate choice of artistic flair. Yeah. No. That was all by choice, right? I can't remember if you're a new chatter, 52 Princess. I'll just call you Princess. This is a study of the Orbitals game that's coming out. It speaks to me aesthetically because it's got the retro anime styling and design that I grew up with. And you may know Sextra. And I think you're a new subscriber to my Twitch. I have not been streaming much lately, and so this is my triumphant return to regularness. I just think it's like good for me to have a little bit more public accountability, even though like I acknowledge that I can. It's basically like a lot of what happened in between here and September last year was like, and I put this on the Discord too. I was like, I have a feeling I can crank out more art if I stream less. And so we're going to experiment with doing less streaming and more art off the stream. And that proved to be true. It proved to be true. However, now that some of this social media stuff, it is getting traction, and it is like proving like, okay, this is good, but I'm missing this part, and this part is, I think, the healthier part of the whole thing, because it feels like I'm doing something. What's happened is it's like the Instagram stuff, thankfully the pieces are getting traction on like the major social media stuff, where there is something that looks like okay, there is like an audience to like see the the works come together and understand that there's a method behind it, and that method is demonstrable and communicable and reproducible, and it's not just like everything he does is magic and no one can do it but him kind of a thing. And the antidote to that sort of thinking is in the demo. It is in this sort of slower pace, and even if it isn't even if it doesn't grab as many eyeballs, or it's in a medium that is inconvenient for people, the most important thing is that I try. And I've had enough affirmations, like with the stuff I posted on Instagram, but it's like that is what that is it's affirmations. And this is something a little bit different. This has to be something where it feels like something bigger is building, even if I don't know what that is yet. Hey Namina, I'm glad people are here today, and I don't even have any dropped frames. It feels like a successful, spontaneous stream. Thank you for popping in. Let's see if I can get one more little sketchy. These might be fun to color too. Maybe we'll make a page out of these eventually. Okay, we're just gonna do like one more, because these are because I'm already feeling like I'm over time. I am booked today, so I have to like pay attention to the fact that like the client does need me to have something to show for the end of the day. You know what I'm gonna do? We gotta make sure we are iterative saves. There we go. That way it saves the stages, so it feels like it's, I don't know, that's how all the art comes together in a time lapse, right? Again, look at these proportions on this character. This is not the way that I draw, but if I want it to look like this character, I have to sort of meet the proportions where they are. Sometimes when we talk about proportions, we talk about like how many heads tall a character is, and I don't really like bust out a ruler or anything like that, but I might just sort of measure with my fingers. So like that's 1 head, 2 heads gets you down to her belly button. 3 heads is frankly to the mid-thigh. 4 heads is to just the mid-shin, and then 5 heads, that's with her shoes on. So 5 heads tall. That's a very short person, basically. But all this is sort of thrown out of whack. Like her head is larger than her chest, for instance. So you know, these are true anime type proportions. She's not. This is I wouldn't call this like a Ghibli style necessarily. The line quality feels that way. It's tricky. love that little bit of, so it's subtle, but like we can see this really classic anime, they've got the shadow. It's like a little bit of a drop shadow. That's sort of that's just an artifact of the process of like using cells, sort of cheaply. It used to be they would avoid that, and then they really started to embrace it as part of the aesthetic. Anyway, it just looks super authentic. Let's see how far we can get with this standing pose. They've really kind of teased her. There isn't a lot to see clearly from the trailer, so we have to sort of do what we can with very little. Head. Okay, so this is just sort of like a standing pose. The line of action of a standing pose is basically like this. And the majority of the work that kind of line of action does is it just sort of grounds me to a line, top to bottom. And it can kind of be tricky until you've not used a line of action to orient yourself with like a pose for many years. If you avoid the line of action, you'll just basically end up with poses that don't really... I mean, you can get lucky, but your poses will feel like they don't exist in a place where gravity is real. This allows you to feel the center of the weight of the form. That's her skull, but her hair is bigger. It's like this. Right? And she has just enough of a bosom to make it clear she's a girl, but nothing you would call. She skews sort of immature, not in like an underage thing, but definitely like her arms appear to have in anatomy we call it adipose tissue, but it's basically like baby fat. And it basically has like a youthful appeal. Calculating the correct bosom. It's that stuff is important. You know, she's not like Fujiko from Lupin. If you can understand my reference. And this isn't, this is not Gooner art. This won't be that kind, that won't be that. Gooners will not, well, I mean, Gooners can, listen, we're all Gooners, but the real degenerates will not find much to make a meal with here. Or maybe they will. We don't need to make that the topic of discussion. You get hate for not making it gooning enough. I never really get any serious kind of like you should have done it differently kind of stuff. Even if people like have an opinion that's like negative, like they really, because I can tell like not everybody, it's impossible to like literally please everybody. So there are those who are like, well, you know, how come no boobies or something like that? But that is I feel like to a certain extent, if I could phrase it this way, sort of the quality of the work sort of speaks for itself, and I don't end up getting a lot of the sort of unsolicited commentary. And if people do have, some people are like, but why did you? About the most negative I ever hear is some people question like why I draw my Link so muscular, for instance, you know, and whatever. But style speaks for itself. They get distracted by. I think people get sort of lost in this skill, and or they're like, you know, it's like some choices might be divisive, but like they get a little bit blown away by the effort and the talent demonstrated or whatever. And all that makes me sound like a douche. So, but there was like a time before I started this stuff. When I was like, nope, I'm gonna be a behind the scenes guy. And part of what helped fuel any hesitation to make a change was there, because I watched videos about like art drama and stuff like that, and it was clear that it was like, okay, it's like, oh, like TikTok is toxic. People say the meanest things to, you know, people who are starting out on the platform or whatever. And there'd be all these examples given and stuff, and I'd be like, oh, well, you know, I don't want to be bullied. You know, I don't want that, or, you know, what if that happened to me? I'm not sure if I could handle it or whatever. But I got brave and I started posting stuff anyway, and no one ever says anything bad at all. To the point where I'm like, are they being nice to me because do they actually like it, or are they just being nice? Because if I do make a mistake, I want to know about it. But for instance, there are several pieces where I was like, oh, I made that one change, and they're not gonna like it at all because I made that one change. It's like different from the official version or whatever. People are gonna, like with the hot rod, I had to make certain choices, like the Rodimus Prime. I had to make certain choices to make the composition work, and essentially that involved changing the angle of his like fin or whatever, the spoiler or whatever. I had to make it more curved instead of like very linear, and I was like, they're gonna hate that I did that. They're gonna give me downvotes on Reddit, and no one mentioned a damn thing about it. Everybody, it was like unanimously people loved it. I think maybe like 1 in 1,000 person like downvoted it, and it's like you could almost attribute that to just like someone misclicking or clicking the wrong thing or something, you know. Like they meant to like it, but then hit dislike. facial proportions are different than what I would normally like. So I'm feeling my way through them a little bit. She definitely has bigger hair than what I drew. That's how I feel about writing. You share your writing and everyone is like, this is really good, but as a beginner, it's like, I know that it's not that good, guys. Let's calm down. Yeah. And it's like, I am also like aware that it is important to encourage. Like, I have little kids who like draw scribbles, right? And they're like, oh, that's you. And I'm like, this like scribble, you know, and I love it. You know, I hang it up on my wall. I'm biased. Objectively, these are scribbles and not objectively good drawings, but you have to consider the artist on their journey needs encouragement. And one day, you know, it won't be scribbles anymore. It's something amazing. Everyone wants to be nice, but you need criticism. It's true that, and I guess that's where I'm trying to find my footing, like as an educator. To what extent, like, can I suss out somehow, as if I had some sort of sixth sense that not everybody is like receptive to the idea that like what they did is improvable, you know. And I want to be like diplomatic about this as well. And I'll just speak to my experience with. There was a time when I was a teenager, essentially, or young in my 20s, and I would try to make relationships work with. Girls who were artists, you know, they'd be art students like me, and that was always very tricky because they would want me to help them with their art, or they would ask me questions about stuff, but then I would tell them what I thought. It sort of became like sort of very difficult for them to receive that honesty. I felt like it made me a little bit. See, I drew the eyes a little too big. That's interesting. Yeah, let's try that again. I was in a sort of difficult position where it's like someone asks for help and then you help them and then they're like, no, not like that, you know. And it's like, well, that's the help. That's what you need. And so my position these days is probably a little bit softer than than what I would consider to be like super educational. Like I definitely, more than anything, I just want people to continue on with their stuff, because I've seen too many times where people are are doing the work, but then they sort of hit a wall or whatever. I think ultimately it does take resilience to become successful as an artist. Like, you can't have paper thin skin. You just really can't. Even if you're super talented. You can have the talent, but if your skin is like paper thin and you do get someone giving you that honest feedback, and it shuts you down, that's not sustainable. You're gonna have setbacks. That's just part of it, you know? Even I get... Rarely do people say that, like, I messed up a drawing. I mean, that pretty much never happens, but, like, that doesn't mean I hit everything the right way or did something in a way that pleases the audience. But I never looked at it like, this person has no business telling me whatever. Especially if that person isn't a professional or whatever. Like, that's the kind of feedback I can trust. Like, this person has nothing at stake with letting me know their honest opinion. It's an opportunity to learn something, and that's the most important thing. I'm struggling with this face a little bit. See, this is me in having a tricky time with anime stuff. I mean, there's lots for me to learn here. Zoom in a bit. Probably won't help, but it's like, I wonder if I'm referencing the image too much, because it's not like it's... moment. What are you going to do now? That type of thinking shows in your art, I think, yeah. Or the decisions we end up in the art we produce. Yeah. I think what happens is, like, we go through what we do, draw what we want, and then we end up with this like bag of tools that sort of feel like they solve the problems that we have encountered thus far. Like I can draw that. I'm gonna do it like this. You know, I've got the solution to solve this problem. And it's worked on other things, and then, but inevitably you get to a place where, like, oh, the what I learned from all the art previous to this isn't helping me solve this problem. This problem is different. I'm just drawing the eyes too big. So, like, dial it back. Now I wish I hadn't erased anything in the beginning. It wasn't that bad. It's normal to, like, become a passively good artist with bad habits. You can absolutely do that. And I think that's where most artists end up, sort of like getting into trouble, is they become dependent on solutions that are they yield good results, but they are in fact bad habits. So they will sort of skip thinking about the fundamentals. kind of just gleefully skipping, like, I never learned anatomy and I still make good art, so I'm gonna not, and I hate the phrase like, oh, now that I know anatomy, or I'm learning anatomy, or learned anatomy. It's like, that stuff is like a lifelong process. Like, you'll never learn anatomy. That is something you'll just always be discovering new things about, and yeah, at least for me, it's like, the idea that I'd be like, oh, I learned anatomy and now that's done now. It's like, no, that's forever. Just a thing you'll always do. But if you get in the habit of skipping the fundamentals, you can still have good drawings from time to time. You can have really, really successful drawings from time to time. This is terrible. It's probably not even clear, like, what about these, the face isn't working, but for me, it's just not working. Let me look at some, because it just might be this. Let me see if I can pull up a separate one. Just a little bit of different information. It might be a little bit better. Anyway, rambling story, but I had a girlfriend who took classes, took them seriously, but actually didn't learn what the teachers were teaching her, and just continued to use her bad habits throughout all of the projects. And then as she went through, and some of the pieces she was working on became more and more challenging, those bad habits, they didn't dig her out of the problems that would arise. They stopped being viable solutions to the challenges. They couldn't cover up the gaps. These noses are so tricky. I'm never gonna do this. This is terrible. Now this is a matter of pride. I'm gonna sort this out. Deadlines be damned. So then when I pointed out that, like, her proportions were wildly off, that, like, the angles of the face and the proportions were wildly off from the reference that she was using, and she was in denial. She's like, no, I've got the nose the same size, and it's like, this nose is the same size, but it's at the wrong angle. That's why nothing's matching up. All of your sizes are correct, but your angles are flattened out. Like the head is way more tilted in your reference than it was in the painting that you're doing. And she didn't want to believe that she had put so much work into it. She just basically assumed that if the proportions were right, that the angles didn't matter. It's like, the angles matter so much more than all of that. And if you had actually just focused on the angles, everything would have been solved. The proportions would have taken care of themselves. And that might have something to do with what was going on here, because I'm trying to sort of correct for the angles that I'm seeing here. Like I was leveling out her eyes, and they're not level here. You know, this eye is much less level than this one. Instead of fighting it, I need to just sort of, like, understand that that's what that angle is. That's the aesthetic, you know. width I can, if I can manage this. They're looking okay to me. Yeah. My kids get picked up at 3:45 today, so we got time. The on-model eyes are a little wonky, but it's probably because of the animation style. Right, but like, I still need to... it isn't that I need to, it's that I want to learn from what I'm looking at, you know? Maybe it's not worth it to just chase it down, but whatever, I can set a good example by not giving up right away, right? Anyway, unfortunately for that girlfriend, she remained obstinate, even though she eventually had to concede that I was right. And she made a bunch of corrections, and then things started to look better. But she also didn't listen to me about like stuff like edges, and it was all, but it was just like in the end, she like didn't even want to work on the painting anymore. She thought she was like just gonna breeze through it. And it's sad for her because that was a commission. That was like her first real commission. And in the end, she ended up just like sort of phoning it in. And just pushing it out when it could have been something that like, I mean, probably the client was a dick and it was like, wasn't worth it to begin with, but it was like, ultimately, like her bad attitude really took the piece down from inside. You know, she was sloppy to start it, and then everything else that followed came as a result, you know? Just feeling better. I'm not going to erase this one, but some things too. Got more to learn on this one. Danny, what were you saying about how much would you charge for a couple of reference sheets in a sketch form like the one you're drawing? Are you referring to like something for you? I don't think I would charge you anything, but I'm not sure what what a fair rate for stuff like this would be. Obviously, I'm doing it for free right here. I'm barely doing a passable job at making myself look competent at it right now. This is just me being like a little too, I guess, precious about my anxiety, about... I've stepped away from anime and manga styles for so long. And it just has me a little bit on my heels. I find the realistic, like, human forms to be much more forgiving. They're very, like, self-guiding, self-correcting. At least, like, all the knowledge that I've built up and been putting into things sort of just seems to automatically flow into stuff when I'm drawing it. And when it doesn't happen, when I'm doing, like, manga stuff, because I can't just go back to leaning on my habits, you know? slightest bit of angle change seems to make a huge difference. And I can make a drawing look pretty, but it won't look like it's in the style. And if I'm trying to get it in the style, then just making it look pretty isn't enough. Interesting. It's like the faces are so flat. You know, obviously they're so appealing, but it's like I can't rely on my bad habits of just saying, oh, I'll just make it look more dimensional, and that's impressive enough. I don't know. There's something for me to learn here. It's like the more I've tried to correct it, the less good it was looking. The way the cheek and the chin like connect and work in space is very different in an anime than it is in real life. Like here with the neck and stuff, it's like, and that was mostly what I did with the neck, interestingly enough. But it wasn't feeling balanced, like it needed to be different. All right, I'm not gonna say I aced it, but it'll be something that won't give me nightmares tonight now. Eyelashes. Flipping it and see how terrible it looks. That's not bad, but like she looks like she's leaning backwards. You know, you can see it. It's like definitely could have done better. I wonder if I had my references slightly different. Like if I, instead of like looking to the left or to the right, if I just had it up on top, probably would have done better. interesting. I spent the whole time trying to see the proportions. And it's like I really missed so much of like the actual pose. More like this. It's so tough. Like, I remember thinking it was easier when I was younger, so maybe something about it is just sort of working against my automatic training. You know, my brain being so conditioned to looking for certain things and seeing them. And then not finding them being so unexpected. Here, I'm fighting so much of the automatic thinking. You gotta grind like it's like one of those Japanese RPGs, right? I need more gil, right? For the Final Fantasy VII or something. I don't love it when I make too many corrections on a drawing. It starts to look all chopped up, you know what I mean? It's like if I'm not willing to see the mistakes and correct them, what's the point in doing a study, right? It's like, here's my advice, everybody. Do studies. And then, like, I proceed to, like, do a terrible study. Right? It's not about getting everything in the exact right place. It's just like what I'm learning about the character is so much more embedded by taking the time to make sure it's right, as opposed to just what I assumed to be. Days, or maybe sooner, when we do the real piece, the heat blaster piece, you know, from a fresh angle that no one's ever seen. You know, and it'll be something that will be, it'll be something that'll be scroll-stoppingly good, you know? New game coming out, anime hits that point, cute girl hits that point, sci-fi hits that point. It'll be in my style, so, like, that'll be cool. It'll be for a new game that, like, people are starved for official artwork from. So they'll have that. Like, that's a good point. Given this to be different. But it's going to be worth it to get it right. And this isn't like Link and Zelda where I'm like, I pretty much know them already and I don't have to do as much work. I'm like, okay, this is different. New IPs, new things, new stuff to pay attention to. Feels like it's tricky. Now I hate doing this, but like stretching out the legs. So it's a little bit more like that. This was like either I drew the arm too short or the leg, or arm too long or the legs too short, and they weren't matching up in space. Are a little squatty. That's okay. And stuff like that. Okay, well, took an almost complete redraw, but I feel like these are more comparable to the actual proportions. Only a little embarrassing. Let's do just a little bit of this, because anime or not, this looks good on everything. Helps me see it. Feeling a lot more confident. some of the decisions I've made. I guess that's just something I've learned to trust in myself over the years, is if something feels off, like with me, if something feels off, I'm like, something's off. And if it's on one of my pieces, it's like, it's got to be, maybe other people won't notice it, they probably won't, but I gotta know it for myself. What's going on? It's a problem I need to solve. This new version is by no means perfect, but it has to satisfy me first. Not regretting the choice to do some studies today. There was lots more to learn here than was initially obvious to me. That's the reality of manga and anime. They are not. It's not child's play with design. Very easy to discount. All right, overdue for finishing up, so I'm gonna call it there. This was a lot of fun. Drawing for something for the soul, not for necessarily the money, but for the soul. For the betterment of humanity. Alrighty. Save, and then so this will be sort of an abrupt end because I don't really have my like thing where I would normally make a thumbnail. Maybe I can try. What would I do then? Yeah, that's not gonna work. No, we don't want that. All right, well, I'll make this big so we can see it, and then maybe I'll splice something else in later or something. Yeah, probably just... I'll do something. Yeah, I'll do something for the thumbnail later. I can't do it right now. As I was just realizing, it's like, I fixed a lot of settings, but like that one still isn't working, so it's like... Okay, so we'll have to come... There'll be stuff to fix for next time, but that'll be it. All right. Danny's Extra, thanks for hanging in there. If anybody else is listening, thanks for coming by. Successful little stream we did. Yay, it's good. It's only been like 4 months or whatever. Right? All right, we did it. All right. A little bit of help there. And I'm stoked about drawing this character. I'll figure this shit out. It'll be good. All right, Namina, thanks for chiming in, having some stream time with us. And I will check you all later on the next one.